Hey guys and girls, how's it going, and welcome back to another episode of Crash Landing with myself, Lewis. It'd be brilliant. Have yourself a great day as always. We are back, and in the last episode we went and found one of those dreaded silos. It took absolutely ages, but we got our hands on one, and we got a load of stuff for big reactors. So I thought today we would make our big reactor and get tons of power, which is going to be great. So this is where we're going to do it. I've set the little room up for it. I started making the ceiling just so we don't have any guys falling in while we're doing our thing, and I've put all the pieces in place for it to do its work. Now, with big reactors, there's two different types of reactors, and the reactors can be different sizes. Big reactors is actually a really fun mod because there is a lot of number crunching involved to make it work right. But with this type of reactor, the kind of basic reactor, there's not really much number crunching to do. It's kind of fairly straightforward. But once you start adding in a turbine, that's when it gets a little bit fun. Now, I don't really know if we're gonna do a turbine in this series because I have absolutely zero need for it. I have absolutely zero need for this reactor, to be honest. I've already got loads of power, but I thought we might as well build one as we've got all the parts, and I can use it for charging energy cells and things, and if we decide to do anything that does require a lot of power, we can use this. I was talking about making a massive farm where we can get loads of juices and stuff. Maybe we'll use this to power that, which could be pretty good. Now, I also made myself over here another high oven because we had loads of spares from this one, and I also had loads of stuff that we got from looting the cities, so I set another one up, and this one's made just for creating steel. That's all it does, and it's fairly straightforward to make steel, although I've run out of sand. Let's get some more sand. There we go. We need some sand, and we're going to need some iron. Let's grab a couple of stacks of iron. Now, we do need quite a bit of steel, and there are two ways of making steel. You can either do it in the high oven, or you can do it in one of the regular thermal expansion machines, if you choose to do so. Did that even go in there? It did. Yes. Yeah, if we have a look on here, you'll see that there are two ways to make steel. Now, the regular way that most people go with is the induction smelter. So 1 iron with 2 pulverized coal will give you a piece of steel. How good is that? You can also use charcoal as well if you choose to do so, but it's 4 bits of charcoal to get our steel. Now, if you do it inside a high oven, you get a lot more steel, although it does cost a little bit more, and it takes a bit of time to set up, obviously, because you have to use sand, redstone, and gunpowder, and some charcoal, obviously. Blocks of charcoal will speed up much faster than using regular charcoal by itself, so I highly recommend you turn it into stacks, otherwise you're going to be here for ages waiting for that to heat up. But that's going to do that. You can see it's making steel for us, and because we have the free slot, it's going to make it a lot faster. I didn't really want to make it as big as this one because it's only for steel, isn't it? So I don't need it to be huge. 3 is more than enough, and I have it getting pumped out into here inside our deep tank and coming out round here somewhere. I think it's that one is set up for steel. Let's have a look. Yeah, that one's set up for steel. Cool. So that is exactly what we're doing there. So we've got a fairly decent amount of steel so far. We're looking at 81 bits of steel. I've been cooking up some yellorium over here, which is going to be our power source. And we also need some of this to make some of the blocks. And over here, I've been making a load of graphite. Graphite is really easy to make. All you do is you cook some coal, and that gives you the stuff. It's really as easy as that. Oh man, there's loads of spiders outside. Actually, do you know what we can do? Because I forgot to do this in the last one. Let's make a sleeping bag, because we lost our last one, didn't we? I have absolutely no idea where that sleeping bag went. There we go. Much better. Now we're going to hear the morning wake-up call of many things burning. Great. Okay, right, so let's get cracking with this. Now, we need to get all of the parts around the edges, so we need to build the frame, and then we can do the insides, the internals. Now, I've got some reactor casings here. The chances are we're probably going to need a lot more of these, but it's quite simple. We're just going to build a square like this. Now, we're going to go with a 7x7. Now, you can build these pretty much any size you like, as long as it contains a fuel rod. Now, the smallest, I believe, is something like a 3x3 with 1 fuel rod in the middle taking up the whole space. And that's great because that's going to work and it's going to make power. But obviously, larger the reactor, more fuel rods, the more power you're going to be producing. So we're going to go with a 7x7. This means we'll be able to pack a punch with 4 fuel rods, or 5 even, 5 fuel rods as I've set this out here, and we will be able to make a lot more power. The only thing is it's going to use up a lot more yellorium, so we have to be a little bit careful of the amount of yellorium that we're making. And then we've got to choose our coolant. Now, the reactor doesn't actually need a coolant. It can run by itself. But the hotter the reactor is, the faster it's going to use up the fuel. So we want to make sure that we've got it as cool as we can so that we're being a lot more fuel efficient. And there are a few things that you can use. So you can use solid blocks, so you can use things like gold and ender blocks and such, and you can place them around the fuel rods. You can use liquids, so the most basic liquid is water, and oh man, those guys. They're just going to stay up there and annoy me forever. Alright, we're going to get rid of these guys. Where are you? Come here. There we go. Come here. They would just keep at it for days. I enchanted all my stuff as well. You can see I got like loads of enchants inside my sword now. Oh, this guy's taking ages to go down. I think it's because he's quite a tough guy, isn't he? There we go. Yeah, I enchanted all my tools. Someone said in the comments that you can enchant them. I'd never even thought about doing that. And now I've got unbreaking sharpness and knockback on my sword. How cool is that? And these guys. I don't know why I enchanted them, but it seemed fun. And my jetpack's got protection, unbreaking, and thorns on it. So it adds a little bit more protection than it generally did, which is great. Okay, yeah, so we need to go ahead and we need to add a coolant. And the coolant that we're going to add is going to be liquid ender. Yes, I'm going to go with that because I've used liquid ender before and it works really, really well. And it just, it just does the trick. The other kind of toss-up between that and gelid cryophium is the other one that you can use. They're kind of the better ones. Now, gelid cryophium and liquid ender pretty much sit on the same plate, although one's better than the other for different reasons. Like the ender kind of gives you, you get more power. Where the gelid cryophium gives you a better coolant, but you don't get as much power, but you get better fuel efficiency. So it's kind of a little bit, which one do you go with? You can go with either of them, to be honest. But I'm going to go with liquid ender because it's the easier one to make, isn't it? So let's get ourselves some more casing blocks because we're going to need a load of these, aren't we? So let's have a look at our big reactors. There we go. All right, so we're going to need a load of these, right? So we'll grab a few more of you. And this should finish up the casing. Now, it's quite lucky because I went and looted the second silo as well. And I managed to get quite a few bits from there, which is great. So that practically sets up all our glass. I'll do this. Now, above me, because you need to make these, and I haven't really shown them to you, where you have your fuel rods, you need to have the fuel rods having the reactor control rods at the top. Then you have the fuel rods running down. So that's what we need to do there. So let's get rid of you, and you. And I'm going to fill the bottom in with these guys again. Let's go get a few more. And we might even get our fuel rods. That could be a good shout, couldn't it? Let's have a look. We're going to need a lot of steel for this, so it's not a cheap thing to make. And because we're going with the more expensive one, it's definitely going to strip us of steel, graphite, all that good stuff. Yeah, see, we just ran out of steel. And I think, have we made all our steel? Oh, we're still making steel. We just need redstone. Okay, let's go get some more redstone. If we don't have all of the stuff, the oxidizers and whatnot in there, it's just going to make regular iron. So we need to kind of keep a check on it. I could have automated it, but I didn't really see the need to automate it that much because we're only doing steel with it, aren't we? Alright, so that's going to keep making the steel for us. So let's place down all of the reactor casings in the bottom. There we go. Brilliant. And now we can place our reactor glass. I'm going to go all around the sides of our reactor glass. And once we've done this, we're going to jump into the roof. And we're going to lay down all of the liquid ender. I got a load cooking up inside our thermal expansion area. Ready for this. And the good thing with liquid ender is it flows. So we should only have to put some at the top. And it should work. Here we go. So let's get you guys all around here. And we also have to remember to have the output. So we're going to have to place the output somewhere. And the control. So I think I'm going to place the control. Let's have a look. Reactor controller. Let's put it here. Yes. Let me do this. Then we'll put the controller here. Yeah, that looks good. We'll do that. And do we need anything else on the front? Well, we could do with a power area, which we'll put there. And then the rest can be done with glass, I guess. Although we do need to get in there, so we'll leave this little bit open for the time being. Let's make a little door for us. Let's do this. There we go. Actually, we'll take this because I'm going to put a thing there, aren't I? There we go. Okay, right, so our Yellorium fuel rods need to come down from the ceiling. So we're going to place these like this. Ooh, we need to make sure we get these just right, going all the way down on every single one of the fuel rods. So that should do that for all of the Yellorium fuel rods. It's looking quite nice. Now we need to set the other bits up. So I've made myself a reactor power tap so that we can drain the power from it, which is good. We also need to make ourselves a way of input and outputting the items. So let's make some of those. Now, we're going to be making the reactor access ports. The coolant ports you don't have to worry about, because if you add a coolant port, it's going to change it into one of the reactors that will work with the turbine. We don't want that. We just want a regular reactor for the time being. So we're going to need some more of these. There we go. And we're going to want 2 of these. Cool, cool. And can we get away with making any more of these? Yes, brilliant. Cool, cool. Because these are going to look good. And we'll place these ones over here, I think. Man, that is really slow. Is it faster if I turn it on? No. I thought I'd give it a try to see what it was like, but it actually is like mega slow. Yeah, look, so much better. Alright, we're going to place these ones here, I think. Yes. So I'll have that there, and that there. And then we'll have 1 port on top of here, and 1 port on top of here. Right? Right. Cool, cool. Alright. And one of them's going to be a input, so we want this as inlet mode, and one of them's going to be an output. Brilliant. So now that's done, we should be fairly good to seal this up. Actually, let's put our power tap on as well. Let's get our power tap there. And our reactor glass. And bam, there you go. You just saw it change. So that now is ready and good to go. Now, you don't have to worry too much about all of this, although some things are kind of handy to know. So this will tell you the temperature of your reactor. So if I turn off NEI, so temperature inside the reactor core, higher temperatures increases fuel burn up. So like I said earlier, you want to try and minimize the temperature, but if you have it too low, you're actually going to lose power. So it's finding that kind of nice kind of middle ground. And now we've got energy output, so this reactor is passively cooled and generates energy directly from the heat of its core. So passive generators are these ones. There's also active generators. Active generators are the turbine ones. And then we've got fuel burn-up rate, so the rate at which fuel is fissioned into waste in the core. So we're going to get waste, which we're going to pull out of the inlet, which we set earlier. And fuel reactivity, so how heavily irradiated the core is. Higher levels of radiation reduce fuel burn-up. So there we go. And obviously we've got it in offline mode at the minute. Cool, cool. So that's going to be doing that. Now we're going to want to be able to have our fuel going inside our reactor. So we're going to want it to come in from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up some more applied energy sticky stuff, having it coming in from our network. So let's go this way. And eventually we will make it there. And we're also going to want the stuff to come back in to our AE network as well. So first we need to find it. There it is. And what are you connected to? We got a random thing connecting to nowhere. Well, I guess it doesn't make much of a difference. It ain't going anywhere. Alright. Well, let's get out my AE bag. Where is it? Where are you hiding? There you go. And we're going to pull out a load of... Oh, we need cables, don't we? Have I got any cables? I don't think I do. Did I leave my... It's my A stuff. Let's have a look. Oh man, I left my wireless access terminal somewhere else. Let's just break this. There we go. We can fix it later. Alright, so we're going to need some cables. Let's get some of you. Great success. And we're going to wire this up. So we'll have it coming along here to this point. And we're also going to want to go in under here so we can get to the other one. There we go. And let's just break this. Okay. And we'll break you. Great. Okay. Right, so let's bring these along a little bit. And up. Cool, cool. And now we can put the other parts on there that we need. So, oh, I'm out of water. I only just realised that. My guy hasn't started sweating yet. There we go. You can go in there. Good stuff. Alright, so we're going to need an input and an output. So our precision export and precision import. There we go. And actually, we don't really need a precision import. We can use anyone for this because it's only going to export out of the reactor one thing to import into the system, so it's not really too much of a difference. But on there, we're going to place that, and we're going to have some yellorium going into it because that is going to be our fuel source. So let's see if I have any spare yellorium that has been cooked up. We've got 25 bits of yellorium. Brilliant. So you can go in here. Like this. Oh, I put in the wrong thing. Well, you can see the yellorium in there, I guess. That's how it's meant to go. Although I kind of wanted it inside my bus. There we go. Now, obviously, bigger the reactor, more fuel rod you have, more yellorium you're going to need to kickstart it. So if we put that in there, we should see it all going in here. And we can see these guys starting to grow in size. Now, if we have a look inside our controller, you'll be able to see the fuel amount that we have in there. So we can see that the core fuel status is 24% full. Currently, 24% fuel. So we're probably going to need a lot more yellorium than that. We've got 157 pieces. So let's get all of this cooking up inside here. There we go. Actually, do you know what? We're going to cook all of it up because there's no point in keeping it in the dust form. So we'll just grab all of this yellorium. And this can all get cooked up. There we go. It can all go in there. Brilliant. Alright. So now that's set up, we're looking pretty good. Now, we do get a byproduct from this. Now, if we have a look at big reactors, you'll see that I think it's called cyanide. Cyanide, yes. The output that we'll get, the waste, is called cyanide. And then we can kind of reform it using one of these guys, the cyanide reprocessor, and that will give us plutonium. And plutonium is used for a lot of these bits, so the turbine controllers and ports. I think one of these guys might use stuff. There we go. Cyanide is used in the turbine rotors. What do we use this for? I think there is a use for this. I think you need plutonium to be able to make the turbine controller, but seeing as we haven't actually got a recipe for it, it's practically useless. Because we can only find that guy, can't we? Alright, so now we've got that, let's put our import into the system there. So we can have that stuff coming out. And we'll fit you back along there. Good stuff. And the same along here, because we don't need to have any of that open anymore. And the next thing we need to do is we need to have somewhere for the power to go. Now, the power that you get from a big reactor is insane, like massive amounts, unless it's been changed in the config. So you can change the power amounts that you get in the config. I don't know if it's been changed in this, we'll find out. But to be able to transfer that power, you need something that can handle it. And there's barely any cables out there that can handle that much power. Some of the thermal expansion ones would not be able to handle that power. Straight out. Some of the ones from X Utilities can, depend on how big your reactor is, but to be completely honest, the best thing you want to use is a Tesseract. Because Tesseracts have no limit or bottleneck on the amount of power that they can accept and send. So having a Tesseract on there means that you're going to be filling the full whack straight out of your system. Now, obviously, how you depend on taking that power from another Tesseract is completely up to you. You can have multiple cables coming out all different sizes. You can just have Tesseracts all over the place. It really doesn't make much of a difference. But we want to make sure that we're trying to optimize the amount of power that we're sending out of it so that we're not bottlenecking it. Bottlenecking it doesn't really matter that much, though, because it has got a really big internal buffer. You can see here the internal buffer of this guy is something like 10 million, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so like 10 million RF. So it's got a pretty big internal buffer on it. So what you don't send isn't exactly going to get wasted. But we're going to place that on there. And we're going to have this as power. And we'll save that. And we'll have it as energy send. There we go. So now everything that's hooked up to one of these Tesseracts that has energy in is going to be getting power from this, and it will be getting power from our farm. So I could basically turn off my mob farm now, but we probably will run out of the Yellorium, so we might need to watch that. But there we go. You can see this starting to fill up. Let's get some more Yellorium and chuck it in there. There we go. And we should see these getting bigger again. Yep, brilliant. And we want to get this to full capacity. It uses quite a lot, seeing as we have 5 fuel rods in there at the minute. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between having it cooled and not having it cooled. So let's wait for this to get to 100%. And we'll boot it up, and you'll be able to see. Now, you haven't got to worry about these because they can't explode. So you haven't got to worry about them blowing up like some of the ones from like IC2 and whatnot. No, that isn't going to happen. But you just won't get as much bang for your buck if you don't look after it properly. So at the minute we've got it going, let's boot this guy up. There we go. And you can see it's doing its thing. The core temperature is rising massively because we have no coolants in there at all. And we're currently making 4,000... Oh, it's going up even more, but roughly about 4,500 flux per tick. 4K. That is a ridiculous amount of RF. When are you ever going to use that much RF in a mod pack like this? Be honest. It isn't going to happen. And if you do, you've got too much stuff. So we're just, this insane amounts of power. But you can see this filling up in here. We've already got a buttload of power stored up in there. And it looks like it's equaled out at 4.5. So 4.5 is kind of going to be the amount that we're going to be using without any type of power in there. But because we have it at a really high heat, we're going to be burning through fuel really, really fast. You can see that our millibuckets per tick is 0.26 is our kind of burn up rate. So let's turn this off. And we will go. And we should fill it with some coolant. Now, if you remember me saying, there's different types of coolants that we can use. You can use water. I wouldn't recommend using lava. You can use gelid cryophia. You could use liquid ender. You can use... I was about to say glowstone, but I don't think you can use glowstone because that goes up. You can use resin. You can use the redstone. There's loads of different ones that you can use. But I got 17 buckets worth here of this stuff, so we're gonna grab you. And do I have any buckets on me? I don't. We need to go grab a bucket from somewhere. Let's go get a bouquet from inside here. Then we're going to go and fill this guy up, and you'll be able to see the difference between a cooled reactor and a non-cooled reactor. Now, you can also use blocks as well. I've seen people that have used blocks in there instead of liquids, so they filled the whole thing around the fuel rods with blocks. That's another way you can do it. But let's get a bucket. Oh man, I haven't actually... What happened with all my buckets? I had buckets. What happened to buckets? Let's get a bucket, I guess. Bam. Cool. Alright. So, we're going to go up here. This is currently turned off, which is good. And we're going to break it. And I'm hoping, like, if I break it, it's not going to get rid of this stuff. Actually, I'm going to get rid of you, because I really do not want a creeper coming over while I'm doing this. Oh. And one more. Oh, man, come on. Get the creeper. There we go. All right, we're looking good again. So, first things first, we're going to want to be able to get rid of these. Now, I probably going to want to do something like this. You can see the fuel rods still have the liquid in them. That's great. Collect all of these up. Because we don't want to waste them. Well, you can just leave them in there if you want, but I don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we pick all of them up. And we'll go through here. And place these back down again. Good stuff. Alright, so we got an empty area at the top where we can start placing our liquid ender. So let's start placing. So first things first, we're going to place them around these areas. Like there. And then you can see it's starting to go down. Which is great. It's starting to flow in there. Place you there. And now let's do the outside. So one there. One there. And this is just one of those things that just takes a little bit of time to do. But once you've done it, it will be very much worth it. There. And there. And I don't even know if I have enough liquid ender in here. I might have to go get some more liquid ender. Yes. Let's place you there. And look how hot I'm getting from all this, because we're right next to a reactor. Like, my heat thing has skyrocketed. That's probably not a good idea to stay too close to this guy. Let's place this one there. Alright, so that's better. Now, I did make a little bit of a mistake, which I had to quickly clean up. You want to make sure you're not putting it on the top, because that's where you're going to put your glass. Yeah, I think I've done that every time I've shown off a big reactor build. I've always placed it along here. I don't know, it's just a habit. But you want to make sure you place it one down, otherwise you're going to get rid of it, aren't you, when you place your glass. So let's pop all our glass back in now. You see the reactor should reform, and we are cooled. Yeah, there we go. And poof, great success. Alright, so let's grab you. Thank you very much. And now, let's go and boot it up. So, it's looking quite cool, isn't it? It looks very nice. Let's give it a boot. So, there we go. Activation. And now look how much, we're making. Ridiculous amounts. 11,000. We're going up. We're still going up. Where we capping it about 11.7? 11.7 thousand flux per tick. It's probably more than 10. And you can see that our fuel usage has gone down dramatically to around, what's that? Anywhere between 0.165 and 170. And it's just sat about there. Our temperature's been massively reduced down to 1,300 odd. We're making tons and tons of power, like a ridiculous amount of power. A lot of it's just going to store up in here. We actually haven't really got anywhere for the power to go at the minute because nothing's using up that much power anywhere in the base. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it off for the time being until I find a use for it. But at least now we know if we need to make 11,000 something god RF per tick, we can do so because we have ridiculous amounts of power inside Hit Sky. Let's see how much Yellorium we actually have left as well. We got 6 in there, so I got 6 Yellorium left. Plus that's inside the fuel rods. The fuel rods took up about 2.5 to 3 stacks. So, and that should last for some time. Like the Yellorium in there does last for a while. It's pretty good. As long as you've got the decent amount of cooling on there, your rods are spaced out efficiently. The spacing of the rods actually do matter as well. If we had them all clumped together, obviously we'd have no coolant running down the sides of them on all sides, so it'd heat up as well. So you want to make sure that your fuel rods are evenly spaced so that there's liquid on every side of them. And the way they're spaced in here, there is liquid on every side of each one of those fuel rods, which is great, because that means we've got it done perfectly. You don't have to have 5 fuel rods, you can have 1 fuel rod. You can have more fuel rods than this if you wanted, but obviously if you had more fuel rods, you'd only be able to put them in areas where some of their sides would be facing a wall, which means you'd be heating it up even more. So I do think this is probably the best one of the builds. Yeah, it's probably one of the most efficient ones that you can make this. The 7x7 is just a really good reactor. It puts out 11.7k RF per tick. So I think that is probably what we're going to do with that. I don't think we're going to make a turbine. We did that and done in 60 days on Tekkit. It took a long time and it made ridiculous amounts of power, and I had no use for that power in the slightest. So I don't think we're going to make one of those today, but if you want to see that getting made, there's an episode where I did all that stuff on it inside the Tekkit done in 60 days one. I did all the number crunching. We decided how many rotor blades and how many of the coils we needed and things, and we got it slap bang on. So yeah, so that was good. But there we go, guys. That is that for today's episode. We've made our big reactor. It's making stupid amounts of power. We need to find a use for that power now. So I think it sounds really silly saying we're going to power a farm with a reactor, but I think that's what we're going to have to do, because I don't really know what else we can use it for. At least we don't have to ever worry about power again now. If we made our spaceship, we could go off. Oh, that reminds me. I was thinking about how we're going to end the series. Let's quickly go over that before we finish. So I'm thinking, before we end the series, there's one thing that we need to do. I think we need to go and slay the Ender Dragon. Yes. Now, there is no... you can't actually get to an area that's going to have an end portal. And you can't craft the end portal frames. but I think I found a way to still get there. I think. I need to do a little bit more testing, but I think I found a way to get to the end. And the dragon is there. Now, it's still a void world, but you do, like any other one, when you load in, it loads a obsidian platform below you. So I can still go there. My worry is when the ender dragon dies, is he going to create an end portal to come back? So I don't really know. But we will experience that when we get to it. So the series should hopefully end with either me slaying the dragon or the dragon slaying me. One of the two. But I think that's going to be a brilliant end. If I can't do it, then we'll come up with something else. But I think I can. So it should be pretty good. But there we go, guys. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Have yourself a great day. Have a good one as always. And goodbye.